What if it was easy to get healthy? Think about it. How do you feel day to day? How do your friends and your family feel? Are more people optimally healthy or less than optimally healthy? Statistically, we know, unfortunately, it's less than optimally healthy to a very large degree, and it keeps getting worse. So what I want to talk about is sort of appreciating this beautiful machine that you own called your human body, and some foundational basics about it, and some simple, easy ways to kind of really fuel your machine in a way that's going to be very meaningful and impactful. As an example, let's take vitamin D, which actually is a steroid hormone. Vitamin D goes into the nucleus of your cell and actually regulates thousands of genes. That's its job. But how well are we Americans doing at having enough of vitamin D to do just that action, let alone some other actions that I'm going to talk about that vitamin D does for us? We're doing very poorly. If you look at a minimal level in the blood, which is 30 nanograms per milliliter, is just how it comes up on your blood test. Just achieving 30, which is really not optimal, 70% of the population is insufficient, does not attain that number. Ideally, optimally, that number should be 45 to 50 nanograms per milliliter. You can look at your annual blood test, see how you're doing in the vitamin D arena. But if we look at achieving that level, then 90% of Americans are deficient, insufficient in vitamin D. So it's affecting how their genes are working. It's affecting how your immune system is working. It's affecting your ability to defend or get an autoimmune disease. Vitamin D helps tryptophan, an amino acid, convert to serotonin, and serotonin keeps your mood stable and has a lot to do with cognitive function. So this is just picking one nutrient that we're highly deficient in. I've recently talked about magnesium and omega-3 fatty acids, so you can look at those as well. But these are basic nutrients that don't allow the machine to function. And you know, if you get in your car and you don't fill it up with gas, or you never change the oil, it doesn't work, right? And so we wonder why these machines are not working for us, our human bodies, but we're not fueling them correctly. It's estimated that every second in your body, there are 37 billion chemical reactions occurring. 37 billion every second. So 37 billion, another 37 billion, you get it. Incredible. But for those reactions to occur, enzymes are doing, thousands and thousands and thousands billions of functions, and those enzymes require micronutrients. I remember learning in school, you're in biochemistry, and you're looking at it. It's almost like a cog. It's like a wheel, and then the cogs on the wheel. And I remember thinking, wait a second, you can be deficient in zinc, and then it just doesn't go. It just kind of stops. And that is what happens. So it's like it ratchets from one, and then the whole cycle is making energy. But, in this step it needs magnesium, in this step it needs zinc, in this step it needs a B vitamin. And it just won't happen well or at all if you don't have enough of these micronutrients. Now, there's something called overconsumptive malnutrition, which basically means we're eating too much of too little. So what that is reflected upon is, if you think about how our food, because 70% of our calories, 65% of our calories as American adults is higher for teens. The calorie consumption is of overprocessed food, which is not food, it's junk. It's not providing these micronutrients that we need. So people are eating most of their calories from that. And then what does your body say to you? It says, where's the magnesium? Where's the zinc? Where's the good protein? Where's my omega-3 fatty acids? You're not giving me enough. Eat more, eat more. And of course, then we eat more of the junk, which is doing us no good. They did an interesting study where they took two groups of people for 2 weeks, and there was the junk group, the overprocessed group, and then there was a completely clean food group, and they were matched as far as what they were offering them for protein and sugar, major nutrients. Now, the sugar in the clean group was coming from fruit, right? So clean carbohydrates. And then in the ultra processed group, pure junk. And it turned out that, and then they could eat for an hour. So they could eat as much as they wanted for an hour. So they had an hour food time, and then it was just like a buffet. They could eat as much as they want. And they found that the people in the junk food, the highly processed group, ate 500 calories a day more, which transitioned into gaining a pound a week. Now, this was only done for 2 weeks, but they were on the trajectory of gaining, over 50 pounds over a year if you continue 500 calories extra a week. So, your body knows, right? It wants the things that are going to make it go and make it function. And if you're not giving it, then the body's going to want more of something. Now, that's not even speaking to the fact that the highly processed foods are engineered to make you, have the dopamine reflex in your brain to say more, more, more. But even with that, the body, it wants this nutrition. It wants to survive. Your body wants to function really well. And when you're not giving it the right nutrients, obviously it's a problem. They did another study with young men, college-age young men that were deemed healthy. They had them drink a 20-ounce soda every day for 3 weeks. And at the end of the 3 weeks, their inflammatory markers in their blood were highly elevated as a result of this 3 weeks of consumption. So, what are we talking about here? Is that so here at the clinic, what I'm trying to say, we've been doing this for 40 years plus, believe it or not. And sometimes, sure, cases can be a little more complicated, but we always kind of have a nice giggle amongst ourselves when all we've done is step one, which is sort of cleaning up somebody's diet. And, this problem or problems they've had for 2 decades are gone. 6 weeks later, it's like, wow, yeah, all my symptoms are gone. And we get to have a little giggle of like, well, that was an easy one, but that's these foundational lifestyle basics that we call them. That's why we never ever, of course, forget to do them or include them in a program, because if you've missed that, you've missed everything. I've had patients over the years say, don't ask me to change my diet. I'm not going to change my diet. Just tell me, I'll take a supplement. I'll take whatever supplements you want me to take. Just, tell me what they are. I'm like, no, those are little micronutrients. The macronutrients are what you're putting in your mouth, the food that you're eating. And that's what we have to focus on primarily. Yeah, I really believe in the micronutrients as well. And that's why I think a multiple is a really good idea, because you never know what, your current diet might be a little shy in micronutrient wise. And then you can get more, you can kind of level that out with the multiple. But what if you built your day around, okay, I'm going for this many grams of protein. You can go for a gram per your lean body weight. So in other words, if you have 25 pounds to lose, then subtract that. Say, keep the math easy. Say you're 125 and you really want to be 100 pounds, and that's your ideal weight. So then you go for 100 grams of protein. Go, okay, how am I going to get that in my 3 meals? Research shows that if you have it at the first meal and the last meal, that's ideal. You go, okay, so that's how I'm going to get my protein. Good. Now, I've got my fruits and vegetables. How am I going to fit those in? Okay, I really like blueberries. I'm talking about myself. In the mornings, I'll get my half a cup serving then. And then at night, I'll have an orange. Okay, that's pretty good for my fruit. Now my veggies, and you kind of work it all out. So where's my good fat coming from? Oh, I really like macadamia nuts. They're very high in fiber. Good. I'm eating those fresh fruits and vegetables, and I'm getting my dark leafy greens. Great. I'm getting enough fiber. And you're building your meal. That's why, meal planning is really helpful. Meal prep. A lot of times people do it on the weekend and they start prepping, for the first half of the week or the week. And the whole idea about meal prep is that you don't fall into the, oh, I'm starving, I'll grab whatever, the donut looks good. You don't get into that because you've prepped. But if each day you're very mindfully building out each meal, and I do believe in a nice hearty breakfast and dinner and a smaller lunch, or different for different people, but that seems to do well for a lot of people. I'm not talking about a late dinner. I'm just talking about, your evening meal, and have a good 3 hours before you go to bed. And of course, we could get into a lot of the lifestyle aspects of, good sleep and your exercise and water consumption. I'm not talking about that right now. But if we were just building out your day, with your meals, you would stuff it full of so many of the good things that in a very short period of time, not only is there not room for the junk, but you don't miss the junk because you feel so much better. So that's what I wanted to share with you today is the importance of being mindful about these things. Now, there's one other thing I wanted to add. So we started talking about vitamin D, but it's something that we see this problem a lot. Let's say your vitamin D is low. You get a good form of vitamin. I like the D3 and K2 together. Liquid is great. And you're taking this and you do that for about 6-8 weeks and you retest your blood. Nothing's changed. You go, what am I doing here? Why is that not working? You could have a genetic SNP, they're called, where your ability to take the supplement and convert it into the active form, which is needed to do all those wonderful things we mentioned vitamin D does. You might have one of these SNPs that you just can't do that. Now, that doesn't mean, you're up the creek at all. It just means knowing that you can take a specialized form of vitamin D that doesn't require that transition, because your body just doesn't do that. My body doesn't methylate, which is it's not that it doesn't do it at all, but it does it very, very poorly, very, very poorly. So I have to take certain nutrients because my body just doesn't go from A to B. If I can get it to B, it rolls right along very, very well, but it doesn't go A to B. So I have issues with detoxification, etc. Learning that about your body is a wonderful thing to learn, because you only have to do genetic tests once, because these little genetic SNPs that you got from mom and dad will never change. You got what you got. And so assessing them is a really great thing to do, because then I need to be extra, mindful, extra cautious, like don't skip those. If some days I'm not in the mood to take my supplements, I still always take my methylation detoxification supplements, because I know this machine does not do that very well, you see. So knowing that is really, really key, and it's sort of the height of personalized nutrition. Nothing is more personalized than your genetics. But then you've got your vitamin D that's going to, help express genes in the right way, only if you have enough vitamin D. So it's very interrelated, but it's not hard. It's beautifully, exquisitely complex, but it doesn't have to be hard to keep your machine, your body, happy and healthy. So if you are someone who's not enjoying the level of health that you're in at the moment and you want to improve it, please reach out to us. It's what we do. It's very personalized. It's very individualized. And it's not difficult. It's natural. You tend to start getting off drugs that you're on because you just don't need them anymore, because you're foundationally changing the level of your health. So it's a beautiful thing, and I want that for you. So give us a call, and I'll talk to you soon.